At this time, Madam Secretary, can you conduct the roll call, please?
Thank you, Vice President Jenkins. Director Moore,
Here.
Director Bennett,
Here.
Director Garcia,
Present.
Vice President Jenkins,
Present.
President Young is absent. That's 4 of 5. We have a quorum. Thank you.
Great, thank you. At this time, do we have any board members for participation, for remote participation?
None have been received.
Great. Now I'd like to introduce we have a special group here tonight, which I'm very excited to introduce. And I'd like to introduce the Bloomington High School NJROTC for a special presentation of our colors and our national anthem.
All right.
Oh, can you? Sorry. Oh, say can. Sorry. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, thank you for a beautiful opening ceremony and a lovely national anthem as well. Our next part, I'd like to invite for our opening prayer by Pastor Padgel Williams. Pastor Williams?
Hello, everyone. So good to be here. Can we bow our heads and pray tonight together? Father, Lord, we thank you for this chance to gather together as leaders, Father God, Lord, as your people, Lord, as people looking to impact the community in a powerful way. God, Lord, we just ask, Lord, that as you are the water of life, that you are the King of Kings, that you are the Lord of Lords, that you come in, Lord, and be with us, Lord, that you come in this room. For every person, Father God, in this place, Lord, that your kingdom will come, oh God. For every male and female, Father God, Lord, that your will be done. Lord, we pray, Lord, that as we continue this meeting, Lord, that your spirit, Lord, will be in our midst, Lord, that you will give instruction, that you will give guidance, that you will give encouragement and direction, oh God, Lord, for these leaders, for this meeting, as they serve this community, Father. Most of all, Lord, may your will be done. And we thank you. Thank you for your son, Jesus. We thank you, Lord, for salvation. We thank you, God, Lord, for your guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you for the opening prayer, Pastor Williams. Next, currently, are there any requests to move any of the presentation to be heard prior to the closed session?
Yes, there's been a request to reorder the agenda to have presentations heard prior to closed session.
Great. And I would need a motion. Is that correct? I would need a motion.
At this point, if you wished, you could adopt the agenda by making that change to reorder the presentation to be taken before closed session.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda
As
With
amended.
that reordering.
with that reordering?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda with reordering to have presentations before closed session.
I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Awesome. Madam Secretary?
Thank you. Director Moore?
Yes.
Director Bennett?
Yes.
Director Garcia?
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins?
Yes.
That passes 401. Thank you.
Okay, now we have presentations by Commander Ken Mombre of the NJROTC.
I don't know if I need this.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Commander Ken Monfort. I have the privilege of instructing these cadets. We've got 150 cadets at Bloomington High School, and love this job. And I really appreciate partnering with West Valley Water District. After I spent 24 years in the Navy, actually I worked with Mr. Wellborn here over at Inland Empire Utilities Agency for about 6 years. And then I came to what I'm doing today. But while I was there, I really realized how important water is. Everybody that works in water, most of us just turn the tap on, expect to be safe to drink. But you know, there's a lot that goes behind it, whether it's the pure water side or the recycled water. I really commend you for what you do, and I'm really excited about collaborating with you. You started this collaboration about a year ago from your birthday 2024.
Our live stream so that.
Oh, so they can hear. Oh, sorry, live stream people. But we continued that collaboration this year, and I wanted to add more. Why? Because, well, it's a great job to work in the water. It's noble work, and it's a great career. So I wanted to expose my kids to things that are out there, because there's a lot of things you can do. So really appreciate this opportunity. Next slide. So for this year, part of the collaboration was we had a couple from your agency come over and talk to us. Ms. Chan came. I was pretty impressed to get a director to come down, and also had Mr. Manjivar came and talked to us about things that he does as a meter service operator. So not only did they come talk to class, but actually they came and spoke to 5 classes the whole day. And I don't know if you ever spoken to high school kids for the whole day, but it is extremely tiring. So I really appreciate everything they came and told us, talked to us about. You see a couple of pictures of them in the pictures there. Then is we did a tour on May 16th, got a bus, brought a bunch of kids, went up to Lytle Creek, went over to your plant across the street from where you're doing the big 21 million, I think, project. Then we came to this plant here, did a tour, and then the bottom right picture is a picture of us in, I think that's where your control station is, but really very educational, good tour that we had from Lance and Brandon. So really appreciated that. And then next slide. Last week, We supported Earth Day. We made a bunch of posters. I got a few kids. We made a lot of posters, and then I told my kids, hey, I'm not choosing first, second, third. I was going to let the water agency do that. So a few of the cadets are here today to brief their posters. But as you look at the slide right here, a bunch of cadets that we brought, big turnout of elementary school kids. In fact, the chaperone we brought, that was one of her schools, Crestmore, that came. So we had a great time. Really appreciate it. Ms. Pantaleon and Ms. Hartley did a fantastic job. Really enjoyed being part of that. And I think now is for the presentation. So Marino, first one up. So by the way, these are 6 of my cadets. They range from I've got freshmen to seniors. One of my juniors, who's going to be a senior soon, she's a fantastic cadet, been through the program all 3 years, going to be my XO next year. In case you cadets didn't know that, she's going to be the XO. But these kids built these posters. It was a team project, but I had them come brief their own slides. So come on up, Marino.
All right, so for my presentation, or my poster, as you can see in the middle, it has a world, and it's cut in half, and it kind of shows, like, it was, like, solutions and, like, causes of what, like, damages, like, our water. And so those things are fixing leaks, because every drop counts, and shorter showers, because people... And also using a broom when, like, cleaning your driveway instead of just using water. And causes of that, like, wastes our water is overpopulation. More people means more water, more mouths to feed. And overwatering, again, plants could die with too much water. And watering at hot temperatures, again, water evaporates at a certain temperature. And do you guys have any questions for me?
Well, I have, first of all, it's amazing you know so much at such a young age that you know that water evaporates and whatnot. I'm not sure if I even learned that until college, basically. I probably burned the grass many times. But I can say that looking at your posters as a group, it was difficult to make decisions on, you know, who's best or worse, the whatnot. But what did you learn, if I can ask, from when you took a tour, I'm assuming you're part of the tour, that you did not know before? That something maybe it was kind of unique.
Alright, one thing that's unique about it is that you guys use carbon to, like, kind of like, and you guys use, like, a certain, I forget what it was, but you guys use something that, like, chemical, I think, that, like, helps and, like, it, like, eats up, like, what's, like, kind of bad in the water. That way it could go to the next process. That's kind of like something I found interesting. Any other questions?
Oh, great. Any questions?
Have you started on choosing a career field yet?
I have, but I'm still open. I am considering going into water, but it's kind of like my second option.
That's okay.
No pressure here.
Yeah, that's okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I'm very impressed with what you did in the poster and how you did all the different topics from overpopulation to overwatering, watering in hot temperatures. I mean, you must have an old soul in you, because I feel like I'm hearing my mom talk about how we can conserve water. So, but you did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the first time I heard she's thinking of a second option of career. Wait till I tell the Marines. They're not going to be too happy. But yeah, I really want them to consider water because there's so much in it. All right, next up, Estrada. Estrada is one of my freshmen. She is a fantastic cadet. I'm hoping she'll do the program all 4 years. She's going to do great in this program and really great at whatever she decides. And sometimes you see these kids right off and you're like, man, that kid. I mean, I like when I can turn them around, but she's easy, real easy. So come on up, Estrada.
This poster was made by a couple of the cadets, and
poster shows a world that is cut in half with the hand of a human holding the bad half, which shows that there is some humans out here that really don't care about our earth and what can happen. As you can see, there is a factory with smoke going into our skies, which causes a lot of pollution for our ecosystem. On the other side of the earth, you can see that the water is blue and the grass is green. It's very clean because we're taking care of the earth. And one of the causes that our earth is might be, dying could be that there is plastics in the oceans that are harming sea life and could possibly even kill them. Another reason that we need water and that that would be needed would be for personal uses such as showers and for drinking. If we don't have these, it could end up in us getting very sick or even possibly dying. And one of the resources that we have here is West Valley Water District that is helping us stay healthy, safe, and protected. A poem that I have found on the internet was, "Trees are the poems that the earth writes upon the sky." I thought this was very inspiring. It definitely shows that the earth matters more than people think. That's my presentation. Do I have any questions?
I had a question.
Yes.
Cadet Estrada, what your inspiration for such a beautiful poster? Did something in your life occur or something from home that your childhood that you thought of?
Honestly, I just thought really in my mind that a lot of things could happen and I wouldn't want it to happen to my family. So,
Okay.
yes,
Very nice.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Not so much of a question, it's just based on your speaking, you sound like you have real compassion towards humanity, and I would like you to continue with that mindset.
Thank you, yes.
I think you did a great job with this. It tells a story, and I just want you to keep on telling that story. That's how we're going to save the earth, is get those stories going and going and going. And simplicity is the best way. Thank you.
Sir.
I don't have a question, but I do have I do want to say that I love how you put in, the poems into their, Earth Day. We always look at it more like from a scientific perspective, but you were able to bring both and merge them together, and you even brought our mascots into the poster, and that brought our attention. But I think you did a really good job trying to see how, in reality, as humanity is destroying the earth. And you're right, there's a lot of people who don't care or don't think that their changes in life will make an impact. But if we all make a difference, we can make things turn around. So thank you for the poems and the artistic work. You and your sixth period did a really great job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well done.
Our last presentation will be from Ms. Vasquez. She's also a junior. She's going to do the program again next year. She's also done extremely well in the program, as you can tell by her uniform, all the ribbons and medals that she's earned. She's going to be our senior enlisted advisor next year, and really proud of her. Come on up, Ms. Vasquez.
Good afternoon. My name is Anayeli Vasquez Diaz. I come from Bloomington High School. My group, a group and me during fifth period created this poster to talk about how water helps us, and not only us, just the animals that live here on Earth, and how important it is to keep it safe and clean. I got the opportunity to walk through the tour and help on Earth Day, and I learned some valuable information that I could use in the future and how to save and store water. I learned the process that you guys take, adding different types of, having different processes, stages, and how it gets to storage and gets to our, the community. I also learned that you guys don't only help Bloomington, but also help Rialto, Colton, Fontana, those that live around the San Bernardino County. In my poster, I include the water process to help others see how many steps it actually takes to get the groundwater or surface water or any water that comes from that's dirty, and how it gets cleaned to be provided into the houses. I included the faucet on the left bottom side to show what how water gets wasted easily. I knew through time the toilets, they went from 3 gallons per flush to 1.5, which increased the savings daily. And the amount of showers in the morning, it just wastes so much water. If you guys could take shorter showers and no. The bottom right side, it's it's a raindrop in a chain and ball. It isn't meant to offend anyone, but it's to show how you guys capture water and store it.
But we do let it loose.
Yeah.
It's not just captured.
I learned about the job opportunities that you guys provide: mechanics, repairs, engineering. It interested me into learning about what you guys do here and how it actually does help us. The internships, I know based on Rialto, you guys start your pay at 21 bucks an hour, around there. Yeah. And there's bonuses and scholarships that I could apply for. Yeah. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Cadet Vasquez.
Do you guys have any questions?
So I'll start off again to make a comment that I saw that on your poster you have internships, and you mentioned there was a dollar amount, and we're building that up. But I hope you share that with your fellow students at Bloomington. And if it's not you, it might be one other person that you inspire and say, hey, there's good water jobs out there. But again, thank you for a beautiful poster, and I know I appreciate all the colors you made and whatnot, because it takes a lot of creativity to come with a blank slate and build something.
Thank you.
I'm impressed that you were paying attention on the tour. You identified surface water and groundwater, and that's very impressive.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you took from the actual tour that yes, we are taking internships here, and we want you and others to apply and see what it is to work in the water field. What I was intrigued when I saw your poster was that you actually put, you actually drew into the letters. And I thought that was really cool. And that because you captured so much information that you actually typed it up to ensure that it was captured in the poster. And I'm like, wow, this person is very organized, not knowing who did it. So I just want to commend you for doing that, that there was so much information that you wanted to put on the poster, and you typed it up so that it could be very clear and concise. So you did a very good job.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I hope that you do take this serious about the interns and the jobs, because if I could do it all over again, I would have gone through this route.
Thank you.
And that's a true story.
Very well done. And you're hired as a recruiter.
Thank you, Cadet.
That's all we had. We really appreciate the time, and we look forward to our continued partnership with West Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander. Though that's the end of the presentation, I'd like to take a pause at this time and take some pictures with the kids outside, if that's good with
So
everyone.
recess for photos?
Thank you. Okay, now that we're back, first of all, I want to thank the last presenters. It's really nice having a change of pace, having these presentations. And next, I'd like to invite Claremont McKenna College for a presentation, please.
I'd like to introduce our issue to our Claremont McKinney. This is the second project they've completed. First through the cost to the district. Hope to continue that relationship. Very impressed. This project builds on last year's project, helping us to prioritize the maintenance and replacement. It's also the goal of exploring innovative solutions. And implementing them. Sorry again for to the internet. Implementing them when feasible and cost effective. As part of this project, they'll be providing the tools that they developed and so that we can perform this analysis as our system changes. With that, I'd like to welcome Claremont McKenna College.
Hi, we're so happy to be here and so grateful for this opportunity. My name is Brenna. I'm the project manager of this team. We are a team of data scientists. And today we'll be talking about the future mainline maintenance of West Valley Water District. So getting into that, let's talk a little bit about our team just to introduce ourselves, as I know we're not familiar faces. I'm the project manager of this team, as well as our code and co-leads, Ainsley and Stephanie, and our writing lead, Justin Sun. So for this project, we are the second team to be doing this project. So we're the spring semester. We do this as part of a class for data science. The data science majors as well as the data science minors at our college do this. So we've been working with West Valley Water District as one of the clients in the projects in this class, and we've been fortunate enough to be selected for this team, which is so exciting. So our client liaisons for this project were Rocky and Bruce, and they were amazing. Bruce helped us with getting adjusted to the GIS of your water utility network, as well as Rocky, who helped us with all the nitty-gritty, especially when it comes to the financial estimates, which I'll get to at the end, as well as our project stakeholders that you see at the bottom. That's kind of on the class side of things, all of our professors involved with it. So now that we've kind of introduced ourselves to you, let's get into a little bit about what our project actually was.
So we know that West Valley Water District is perfectly fine with performing maintenance on mainline pipes. And so we want to streamline that and make it easier for West Valley Water District to pick mainline pipes. So our goal was to develop a model to accurately identify and prioritize future maintenance of pipes. So our task was to improve the picking process of future maintenance prioritization through holistic review. Holistic review means taking into account of critical customers and other factors that we'll explain later. And our goal is to accurately score mainline pipes and estimate the scores. And then after we get the scores, we'll estimate the financial costs of maintenance and or replacements. So here are our deliverables to WVWD. So the first deliverable would be a scoring system. That's our main way of scoring pipes, which we'll go over later. The next is a data map visualization tool called ArcGIS, called an ArcGIS layer, which will visualize all the pipes in the West Valley Water District area and with their according scores. The third deliverable we'll be giving is the top 5 mainline pipes, which is the top 5 mainlines with the highest scores, which we'll look into later. The fourth deliverable would be the financial estimates of replacing each pipe. So basically the worst possible case. The last deliverable we will be presenting is a story map, which summarizes all the other deliverables into a more user-friendly format to be used later.
And next, Ainsley will be going over the main scoring system.
Thank you, Justin. So we looked at two variables to bring into our analysis. We looked at the risk rankings and variables related to the customers. So starting with the risk rankings, this was something that the previous team worked on last semester. They could not be here, but we're happy to talk about the work that they did as well. They built basically a predictive model that looked at a lot of different properties of the pipes, both the physical properties like the size and the age and history of leaks in the pipes, as well as the environment around the pipe, including stuff about soil and water content of the soil. And that basically is a prediction approach to try to predict which pipes would be more likely to leak. And that ends up looking like a probability that we'll bring into the model later. The second kind of set of variables was variables related to customers that would be affected by any leak on the pipes. So the first one would be the quantity of customers. We looked at that represented by the number of meters on the pipes. This would be any customer that would be affected if there was a leak anywhere on a pipe, and all of the meters in between valves that would have to be turned off. So that was just like the quantity of customers that would be affected by any potential leak. We also looked at the criticality of those customers, and this was data that was provided to us by Bruce and Rocky, and it looked at basically customers for whom any issues with service would be potentially a much larger problem. This includes things like schools and health centers. And we went into that data and made sure that we were not overcounting any schools with a bunch of meters versus a health center with only one. And we ended up with 26 unique critical customers that had been identified in the data. And then bringing that all together, our overall ranking is essentially distributing this idea, this probability of risk across the meters that would be affected. So that R variable, that's what I talked about earlier, the risk probability from the predictive model. And then we're distributing that across the meters that would be affected, starting with the baseline count of M, that would just be the meters in between the valves that would need to be turned off, and then adding on this additional weight if there is a critical customer affected. The weight we chose for the critical customers was 50, and the way that can be kind of interpreted is how much we're weighing a single critical customer in terms of normal customers. So that would be 50 normal customers for one critical customer, and that ends up factoring into the number of meters that would be affected. So just to summarize, we're distributing the risk across the number of meters in order to get a score, and then we can compare this score across different pipes in order to prioritize the pipes. And then to talk about kind of how we did that and what our results were is Stephanie.
Thank you, Ainsley. So in order to get to these final deliverables, we kind of went through three key phases. And so in the first phase, we were really looking at how we got a lot of information, which was great in terms of getting more context and familiarizing ourselves with the district, but was much more narrow than what we'd received. And so during that first phase, we did a lot of data cleaning. We readjusted things to make sure that they aligned with the kind of analysis that we'd be doing. We also made sure that the data was in a format that if in the future West Valley wanted to rerun the analysis that we did, you could manage to do so very easily. So we created our own database so that the district has access to it. After we did that, we incorporated the variable that Ainsley was discussing with the risk factor, and then we added our own, which was looking much more at who would be impacted in the likelihood of a leak or a break within the main lines. And so, as Justin had mentioned, at the end, we developed the multiplicative model. We developed the GIS layer to visualize our findings. We gave you the top 5 main lines, and then we developed the financial estimates based on those previous findings. And so we'll go over what that actually looks like so you can see our final products. And so here we actually have a map of the district as a whole, the little points represent critical customers, and you can see that the score ranges from 0 to 10, 10 being the highest ranking main line because we normalized our score. And so you can see some areas that are of interest, and we'll kind of run you through what those are as well so you can see how they might relate to the work that's already being done throughout the district. So a couple of areas of interest here. It's the River Ranch area, which seems to be a new development. And so the likelihood of failure in that area is actually very low. It has a high ranking because there's a lot of meters connected to those main lines. And so we can see how the different factors are kind of coming into play. The gardens at the Arboretum area, it has a relatively high number of meters connected to it. So it has about 300, which is above average for the rest of the district. but it does have a little bit slightly higher risk of a break, and so that's why it's ranked higher than the development that you see at top, which is the Rosanna Ranch area, which actually has the highest number of meters. So it has over 2,000 meters connected to that area, but because there's risk, and we've talked with Bruce and Rocky about why this might be, and it seems like the districts are already taking a lot of steps to ensure that there's no leaks, no failures in that area, and so you can see how the different factors play into the ranking within the district. In the southern portion, you also see the 5th ranking main line, which is the one here that you see in the RAD, and that's facility ID H147, and that one has a slightly higher risk score, and because it has a good number of meters connected to it, it's also ranked a higher priority. And so looking specifically at the main lines themselves, here are the top 4 ranking, they're all within the River Ranch area, in very close proximity, and so the good thing is that there's already work being done in the space, and so in the future this should not be of a high concern for the district. But we also see H147, which this was an especially validating finding because as we were talking with our liaisons, we learned that there's already work being done here as well, and so it shows that the district is putting their resources in the right places, but also it shows that our model is accurately predicting areas that require a little bit more attention, which is really nice to see. And so here we want to also show you the story map platform that we're using to, one, make it more accessible for you to look at all of our findings, and also if in the future you wanted to share this, you could choose to make it a little bit more public. And so I'm going to show you here. Give me 1 second. It's a video highlighting how you would run through the platform. And so I'm going to show you just the critical customer section, but at the top you can also see that we have some information on project overview, findings, analysis details, as well as costs, which we'll talk a little bit more in the future. And so here you see just the analysis details, but you'll also see a critical customer section. And so you'll see what we considered throughout our analysis, and it has some images so that you can really see who is being impacted throughout the community, which is really nice, and you'll have access to this platform as well as part of our deliverables. And so jumping back to the presentation, we'll actually have Brenna share some of the exciting more information about the financial cost of addressing some of these areas that seem of high priority.
Hi, glad to see you again. And I know Stephanie said exciting, some of you might say scary, and I know some of your eyes bulged when you heard the financial estimate statement. But so looking at those top 5 main lines, as Stephanie mentioned, 4 of them are all in the same area. And the reason why that entire area shows in red is because if any of those 4 break, that single point of failure affects that whole area. Whereas if pipes within that area broke, you could shut off valves between that and it wouldn't be such a high impact. But because those are a single point of failure, they are ranked much higher, which reflects the system. So looking at the actual financial estimates themselves, as you saw in the visual earlier, one of those pipes was much longer than the others, hence why there's a 31,000 below that 9,000, that 4,000, that 1,500. And so also, important to mention, that word replacement that's sitting at the top of this slide, very important. All these estimates are based off the cost of replacement, not necessarily the cost of maintenance. So this would be worst case scenario, how much money you need. Not necessarily what's the right thing to do or what will be done, as you guys do a great job of maintaining things. And like we said before, you guys are already starting projects on some of the things that are ranked higher in our system. So most of this money, in most cases, won't be necessary, but should replacement at the end of the day be necessary, this is the maximum cost possible, so we wanted to do that. So the 5th main line, as you see below, is a lot longer than any of the lines up in that northeastern section of the utility network, and it is a much longer pipeline. This estimate was created at $150 per foot, so if you're wondering where that number comes from, we got this number estimate from Rocky. And so the top 5 main lines altogether equate to about $140,000, but again, don't be scared. It's a replacement estimate, not a maintenance estimate. So looking at the system as a whole, I'm sure you remember the map earlier, but there was only 2 areas in red, both of which were attached to the top 5 main lines. You do see that red is now about 300,000. That's because overall, there's about 7 main lines that are in that 4.7 to 10.0 category, and both the 6th and the 7th main line are about the same length as the H147, that longer 5th main line, which is why the estimate raise is so high. But working on projects in most of these areas, which is why we also wanted to include an estimate for the red and orange areas. Based off our suggestions, these would be the areas that, say, in the next couple years, you'd be looking at. And so that's, replacement-wise, would end up being just under $3 million. Emphasize it one more time. It's replacement costs. Don't be scared. And again, you don't necessarily have to follow this tool, but this tool was created as a method to help you guys prioritize future maintenance. And I do believe that since the projects that you're currently working on were what scored highest in our system, that it is showing up correctly and should be helpful in the future. Now with that, looking at future use, we want to update the risk factor. So last semester, the team did a great job of creating the risk factor. However, you guys have done a lot of things since last year. So any new projects, valves that have been created, those aren't in the new system of the risk factor. So we want to put all that updated data into the risk factor so that we can see the updated things. For example, right now our current highest main lines are ones that you're currently doing projects on. Once those projects are done and we input that data, I'm sure those factors that are currently orange will turn red, because then relative to the system, they'll be the highest risk. So we want to help you use this from now all the way moving forward so that you can continue to see, based off the new data and what you're working on, what you should move towards. So with that, the next thing that we'd like to see happen with this project in the future, should you continue to work with us for no extra cost, would be to add more factors. We saw some variables that we'd really like to see. We also work in ethics as data scientists. It's something that's really important to us. And one of the variables that we didn't get a chance to work on was vulnerable communities, which was a data type in this data set. And so we'd like to add vulnerable communities into this model, because vulnerable communities include those who might not, say, have a car to get access to water if their valve's shut off. So you might want to prioritize them as well as critical customers. So in the future, we'll be adding into our report, should you guys continue to work with us for the next team, to hopefully add that variable. As well as, I've kind of already talked about it, but future tool use. This tool is ready to go and ready to be used. And as you guys enter the data of what you're currently doing, it'll update with the system, which is really great so that you can continue to use it, whether or not we're here or not, which is really exciting. So overall, the key takeaways is that new developments have temporary more single points of failure associated with that. But then once you have new developments on top of that, say I know like there's a new one coming next to River Ranch relatively soon, that score should lower because there's going to be less single points of failure with that. And that's essentially where a lot of the top 5 scores came from, which is reflective of that, as well as our financial estimate for those top 5 main lines, which is around $140,000. And for the last time I'm going to say it, is a replacement estimate. So, but we hope that you've enjoyed what we tried to show you today. And we're really happy with the opportunity to have worked with you guys and really grateful for it. So thank you so much. Questions?
Well, Brenna, Ainsley, Stephanie, and Justin, I hope when you graduate you'll be looking for a career and that we have something opening, because I'm extremely impressed with what you presented to us, and also brings to light of some of our vulnerable areas, specifically over at River Ranch. Does this presentation also have possible solutions for how to get us out of the red, per se?
So part of the score, something to note, is that it's a normalized score. So it's not necessarily saying that this area is super high risk. It's saying that relative to the pipes in your system, this one should be prioritized first. Because what we did is we have our equation doesn't actually set the max equal to 10. I think the max score that one of those pipes in River Ranch has is around 40 something, but then we normalize the system so that that ranking becomes the 10.0. So it's not necessarily indicating that it's super high risk. It's just saying in terms of you beginning projects in the future, this is the project that should happen first. So it's more telling you the order of your next projects rather than how bad the pipes actually are, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you very much.
I'd answer
Oh,
that.
go ahead, Stephanie.
Sorry. It also a good way to figure out what the next step might be is that with the data that we provided, you can also see what's contributing to that score. So you're like, oh, maybe this area is ranking higher because of the likelihood of a break, whereas this one is ranking higher because there's too many customers connected to it. So it can help you distinguish whether you want to prioritize maybe doing maintenance on the pipe itself to prevent a break or anything like that, whereas maybe being like, oh, maybe we should add a valve here or something like that to prevent as many people being affected by a break.
Thank you. I did key on your information about a single point of interest is probably the most vulnerable versus multiple areas, yeah. But thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Appreciate your presentation. Oftentimes in the water industry, you think of pumps and motors and not the underground aspect. And also the term data scientist. I like that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say is I'm happy that you're able to put all this technical information in a very simple format for us to understand. I know that's probably sometimes the hardest when you're in the weeds and trying to figure out how to put it into a very simplified form and not wanting to go into details, because I know that when you're in it, you want to add all the information. But that being said, I have questions. There's that figure where you, or the slide where you depicted on, it was a red zone. I think it was the Arboretum project.
North side, right?
And I'm just curious, how come, oh, it's not red, it's orange. Yeah. So what you're saying is that right now it's at a critical point because there's only one juncture, or what caused this area to be, because I know there's two developments right adjacent to each other where there's very high density, but why this particular project?
So in order to say for sure, I would need to look at the data set itself, so I don't want to overemphasize how confident I am. Stephanie is confident. Stephanie's going to take this.
Yes. So there are around 300 meters connected to this one, which is above average for the rest of the network. And so, like, to be exact, I would say it's like, I think it was 268 last time I checked. And so it is above average, which is why. And it's also compared to, maybe you might be like, oh, well, Rosena Ranch has over 2,000. Why isn't that one higher? And it's because here at the Gardens with the Arboretum, it's a slightly higher predicted risk score, and so it balances out with the multiplicating both values. It ends up being slightly higher, which is why you see it in orange rather than in like the yellow in the Rosena Ranch area.
Okay, so without me looking at your data set or your information, where is it that it's causing it to fail? Is it because there's only one main line at the entrance? How does it get it to be that color?
The whole thing? Yeah. So there's actually a layer that we got with a trace. So it looks at both the valves and the main lines. And so let's say that there's a break in mainline, like I'm just say A. And let's say mainline A breaks, but there's a valve that would have to shut off B and C. That's why you see this whole little area in the orange, because it's looking at how would A, B, and C be impacted in the likelihood of a break in A, if that makes it a little bit clearer.
So you're saying that if one line breaks, it's just it causes like a trigger effect because there's so many of them connected to that line?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned that if there was to be another development above that, then it wouldn't be such a high critical multiplier, or is that what you said? I'm just curious, like, what makes it not, how do you fix the problem?
How do you fix?
So essentially one of the things that we kind of talked about was single points of failure. And when you're talking about but for the Gardens of the Arboretum, you want to create more valves so that there's more shutoff points between all of these customer meters. So that say if there was a leak in section A, currently it affects section A, B, C, and D. But if you create valves between all of those sections, then the shutoff wouldn't have to extend as far. So these colors essentially represent, in the case that you have a leakage, say, in this tiny little red spot, all of this area has to be shut off in the time where it's shut off to be fixed.
Okay, so this question goes to Rocky.
I wanted to add a little bit too.
Yeah.
So anytime we're doing data analysis, there's the, come back to the table and make sure it makes sense. And so we're going to do that with this data. And River Ranch, we noticed in the data set that we had some lines that weren't connected in our GIS data set. So I think that addresses some of that area. And then also future development that brings in new supplies from the north provides that redundancy. But I think to the point that they were making is that with high density residential, between isolation points, we just have more customers with high density residential. And that's a new way of looking at isolation capabilities than I think we had in the past. So if we are having high density residential, I think we consider more isolation points or pipelines with some better materials. In the Gardens of the Arboretum, the consequence of failure is high because of so many customers between isolation points, but the likelihood's low because it's new and doesn't have the age that some of our older pipelines have. Is the way I'm looking at it. And the real satisfying part of this project to me was the Bloomington numbered street projects that got identified. We currently have Bloomington 3C on the books to complete, and that was a good validation that the scoring works. And then as we make these data corrections and we do these validations, I think the scoring is going to play a bigger role in our decision making in the future. But it always requires us to come back and say, does this make sense? Which we're going to do. And I didn't mean to dismiss your question.
No, I just want to know that, if something was brought up to the attention that maybe there is, before there's actual construction being done, that there's things that we need to look at because of what we just saw at River Ranch. Is there something that was just wrong with the data set, or is there something that we can improve for future developments?
Yeah. So we're going to evaluate the data set, and I think on that particular one, when we make a few changes that we noticed after we saw this data, I think that criticality becomes lower from the data side. But it also did highlight one specific section of pipe that maybe an additional isolation valve would have been nice to include in the original design. So going forward, when we review development drawings, we're going to be looking at those single points of failures and consider adding valves when needed.
And just as a note, the general statement, new development not always better development, because of what I live right across the street and I'm always seeing water leaks. So I'm just hoping that there's something that we could do as our part when we're doing design, because the developers don't always do it for their best, Can't even come
But that's
up with
another reason to have full-time inspection on all these jobs. which we try
Exactly,
to do.
yes.
Right.
But at the end, I want to thank you guys for putting this together. I mean, I understand that this is great, that you guys did a data set that we were able to understand and you're able to present, and I really appreciate your hard work on doing this, and I hope you guys continue to do more of this, what is it, scientific data? Is that what it is?
Brenna,
Data
love the enthusiasm of you
Yes.
and your team.
Thank you.
Love the enthusiasm.
It's
Yes.
been a good 4 months. Yeah.
They are in their finals week right now.
We sure are.
So we really appreciate them coming out and helping us
We will
with
also
this
be
presentation.
presenting this data with a lot more nitty gritty tomorrow to our entire school. Well, the results of our data sets and stuff.
people
So,
doing projects with
yeah.
other
but we appreciate the opportunity. to
Well,
work
you
on
can
this
let them
together.
know that I can say for the board is impressed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
Could we take a quick 3-minute recess so that we can get restarted?
That'd be great. Thank you. Quick recess. Are we doing photographs?
Well, hopefully this will.
Data scientist?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. Impressive. You gotta really. Yeah, that's very critical now. You know, when we were talking about assets management, data, you know, that can make or break. You know, your finances.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah.
Got to collect the right amount or the right type of data in the right way.
And then when you have these programs now,
evaluate it.
these applications where you can track it and see every department how much they're spending, when they're spending, and
We still have a board meeting.
I have no eyes in those pictures. So annoying. I should even.
They'll be out in public pretty soon. Facebook. All right, I'd like to reconvene at this time, and I'd like to ask if there's any open public comment period on the closed session matters.
Yes, thank you. Members of the public may participate and give public comment in one of 4 ways: in person at West Valley Water District's Administrative Boardroom, via telephone by calling 888-475-4499 with access code 840-293-7790, via Zoom with access code 840-293-7790, or via email to administration@wvwd.org.
And have we had any requests to be received?
No requests via email, in person, or Zoom.
All right, so at this point, we can now go to closed session. Is that correct? So be it. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'd like to now reconvene from open session. Mr. Ferrer, will you please report?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. The board on both items listed, and there is no reportable action.
Thank you very much. Next is public participation. I now open the public comment period. Madam Board Secretary, will you please read
Thank you.
the meeting protocol information?
Yes. Members of the public may participate and give public comment in one of 4 ways: at West Valley Water District's Administrative Boardroom, via telephone by calling 888-475-4499 with access code 840-293-7790, via Zoom with access code 840-293-7790, or via email to administration@wvwd.org.
And have any requests been received?
None in person, via email, or via Zoom.
Okay. So that being said, we now go to consent calendar. Is that correct? Okay. We will now consider consent calendar items 1 through 9. Items on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion without individual discussion unless the board members request an item to be removed for separate discussion. And at this time, does anyone wish to pull or comment on any of the consent calendar items? If no one makes a motion, then I would like to ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Director Moore?
Yes.
Director Bennett?
Yes.
Director Garcia? Vice President Jenkins?
Yes.
That passes 401. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And now on to business matters. Our business items is an adopt ordinance number 90, titled an ordinance of the Board of Directors for West Valley Water District instituting a cross-connection control program to protect the public water. And Joanne, will you please give this report?
Sure, I'd love to. Good evening, Vice President and members of the board. The district has always had a cross-connection control program, a part of the district's water service rules and regulations. It is recommended by JPIA and our risk management division to have an ordinance for cross-connection control, which we currently don't have. The timing is perfect. The Water Board in recent years replaced the old cross-connection regulations, Title 17 of the California Code of Regulations, with a new one, the Cross-Connection Control Policy Handbook. All public water systems are required to have a new or updated cross-connection control program, meeting the new requirements submitted to DDW, that would be Divisions of Drinking Water, by July of this year for review and approval. Our updated program got approved. Staff incorporated the approved program into this ordinance to set the district's requirements for installation, testing, maintenance of backflow prevention assemblies, and cross-connection control. Some of the key provisions of the new regulations include: 1, all public water systems shall conduct site inspections of all surface connections, and we have over 24,000 surface connections. Each time when there's a change in ownership, it will trigger a site inspection. Report any potential or actual cross connection to the Water Board and the Department of Public Health. Public outreach and local entity coordination. Inform customers the need for and importance of cross-connection control and backflow protections. BPK has reviewed the ordinance and that public notice and public hearing are not required. Staff recommends that the board approve the adoption of an ordinance titled an ordinance of the Board of Directors of the West Valley Water District instituting a cross-connection control program to protect the public water. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Thank you, Joanne. I'd like to now, is there a motion to approve the staff recommendations regarding ordinance number 90?
And I'm sorry, to
excuse me.
adopt ordinance number 90.
Adopt ordinance number 90.
I'll make a motion that we adopt
Thank you,
ordinance 90.
Director Moore. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Director.
I'm sorry, who's that from?
Director Bennett.
Second.
Thank you.
And Madam Secretary, you can call.
Thank you. Director Moore?
Yes.
Director Bennett?
Yes.
Director Garcia?
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins?
Yes.
That passes 401. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Our next business item is discussion of CSDA legislative days and our options for legislative advocacy meetings. And Socorro, could you please give a report?
Good evening, Vice President Jenkins, members of the board. This evening, I will give a quick presentation on the CSD legislative days and options for legislative advocacy meetings for the board of directors, following our conversation from last time regarding the Brown Act. So I know it's very small, but the CSD conference does start on Tuesday, May 20th in the morning. Their agenda includes CSDA legislative visits. So as part of their conference, you would go with the delegation to advocate for CSDA bills that include their ACR 36 Special Districts Week, AB 259, their teleconference bill, and SB 496 Advanced Clean Vehicles Exemption bill as well. On the second day, there's more advocacy efforts. Within those days, the 20th and 21st, in conversations with California Strategies, not cooperating. There we go. We did put an advocacy plan for the board members who are interested in attending and talking with our local legislators on on West Valley Water District priorities. So the meetings that we were in conversations of scheduling is Senator Luis Gomez-Reyes' office, Assemblymember Garcia, and Assemblymember Ramos. And priority topics include legislative bills, Prop 4 funding allocation to include water projects, and an update on the Romer expansion. If there is further interest from the board of directors to attend at a further time, California Strategies did identify a time in June, second, third week, for a visit either on a Tuesday or Wednesday to talk to the remaining delegation within our service area. Includes Senator Sasha Rene Perez, Senator Leticia Castillo, Assemblymember John Harabin, Department of Water Resources, State Water Control Board. And again, the priority topics include legislative bills, Prop 4 funding allocation, update on Romer expansion, and possible trailer bills that will be introduced during the May revise. And so, for discussion and next steps.
Thank you.
Can you put back the schedule for the one that says for May?
My clicker's not working.
Here,
Yeah.
just tell me which one, sorry.
The 20th and 21st.
So I mentioned this during the External Affairs Committee meeting that I will not be able to attend the May 20th and 21st. If there's somebody else that would like to attend with Director Moore, I think he indicated that he was interested in going. But I will not be able to attend those.
I unfortunately can't do the 20th and 21st.
Yes, I believe I'm available.
Okay, we can certainly work together, prepare the board of directors before heading to Sacramento for those meetings. Is there any other interest for June as we work with California Strategies to set those meetings up?
Yeah.
I'm interested. It seems like you're interested as well.
Yeah, I'd be interested in June.
So at this point, is Director Moore available for, you had mentioned that you were available and wanted to attend the Sacramento Legislative Days?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I feel like we're not giving President Young an opportunity to say if he wants to attend in June. So maybe we can discuss it more in the upcoming.
He's indicated that he's probably going to be on vacation the majority of June.
Okay.
So I can work with him and the remaining two to see if there's going to be an opportunity for him to attend and whether that's going to be feasible.
Okay. I just want to be able to give him the opportunity to see if he wants to attend and have
So
discussions.
since we have a month to prep
Yeah.
for that, for now, if it's okay, that what we're hearing as far as direction is for Director Moore, Director Bennett to attend Sacramento Legislative Days, and a future legislative advocacy trip to be planned for June.
Correct.
Okay. We will work with the California Strategies to set up those meetings and follow up with the board of directors.
Thank you.
Thanks, Socorro.
Thank you.
Thanks. So there's no motion, then we have to provide, thank you very much. Okay, so, on to reports. Now it's time for reports. Does anyone have any committee reports at this time? Now's the time to share.
You want to-
Oh, yes, on the Engineering Operations Committee, we met this past Thursday, I believe. I forgot the date, but we had a presentation from Joanne regarding the cross-connection conversation. We also had a presentation from Rocky regarding the expansion or demolition and the building of the new facility. A PowerPoint was given and shown in regards of PBK and the future decisions in what direction to go. That's it.
Okay. So, during the External Affairs Committee that was held on April 28th, we talked about Earth Day, which occurred this last Friday. For our Earth Day event, we had over 200 students. It was more like 230 second graders that were in attendance, and we received great feedback from the students and teachers. And I was present as well as all the board members, and it was really great. We had all these different stands, and every department had their own exhibition, and the kids were very engaged, and the teachers were engaged. And so I just want to go ahead and thank the committee for the great job that they did, and for also inviting the Rialto, was it Rialto ROTC or Colton? Bloomington, for their help in, for help in participating in the Earth Day event. The committee also recommended partnering with the Rialto Unified School District for future Earth Day events. Again, I want to thank the staff for the great success and keeping it under budget this year. Sponsorships. An update was provided on recent monetary sponsorships and water donation requests. Staff is continuing to work on sponsorships and donation policies that was started earlier by our previous CFO. A draft policy will be brought back to the committee for review and comment. We started talking about branding guidelines. We reviewed a few of the draft branding guidelines, which will be used to be standardized across all platforms: the website, social media, printed materials, signage, presentations. The guidelines will help to ensure consistent professional appearances to our customers and stakeholders. I think we haven't really, the options were given to us, but it was just an initial discussion. We didn't really decide or provide any recommendation. We're going to be bringing it back to another committee when there's more time. California Strategies also provided an update. Various legislative bills that the district is supporting or opposing. Cal Strategies is working to set up meetings in May during CSDA's legislative days, and as well as setting up additional advocacy meetings in June. Church and Associates provided a federal update. Congressman Aguilar's submittal of our cybersecurity project was one of his 15 project requests for his fiscal year 26 earmarks. The water and energy efficient grant application for our AMI project, we would get a response in the next month or two. And an overview was provided on HR 2766, Special District Fairness and Accessibility Act, which the district is supporting. And that is my update for our committee.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Oh, okay. Thank you very much. All right. So does anyone have any general board member reports? Oh, and I have no committee reports. I apologize. Any general member reports?
I do. I attended for the first time the CSDA Leadership Academy, and I'm happy to say that our board is now, all of us have gotten our leadership certificate. We attended the Earth Day celebration on the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And Also, there was an event for the Boy Scouts, or was it the Scouts? Was it cleanup? I was gonna say a cleanup tour, but it was very neat to see the children go through the FBR and see how that goes. And then we did the External Affairs Committee. I did that, and then also attended IEWorks board meeting on yesterday. Thank you.
Any other board member reports?
Yes, I also attended the CSDA Leadership Academy, and it was very informative, describing the roles of the board, the staff, and the general manager, and keeping them all separated. It was very informative, and the main theme was how to disagree without being disagreeable.
Absolutely, yes.
And I don't think we're a victim of that. If I had to give a score based on some of the examples they showed, West Valley's between a B+ and an A-. We're quite high up there.
I think we're even better than that, but yeah, I agree.
But it was very informative.
I think we get an award for that too, by the way. now
Yes,
that
we submit an
all the
award now that that everybody has their certificate, so we'll be working on that.
Great.
And a gala I attended for the Rialto Unified School District, and I like the efforts that I'm hearing that West Valley's playing with partnering with the school district in
Yes.
different things, and I think that's it's good look for the agency.
Agreed, yes. Alvin?
Yeah, I toured the front country tour at the Lloyd Treatment Center out in Rancho Cucamonga, up in the hills. Did a little hiking. But it was a beautiful tour. It was nice. Learned a lot. Very scenic, serene. Didn't know all that was out there, but they did a great job taking care of us. And they got the coolest little ATCs, I guess you'd call them. But they took care of us. Went to Earth Day, and that was wonderful. One of the most impressive booths that I saw, they were all impressive, but I think the one that really hit home was the groundwater treatment process. I thought that was a great job by production department. Is that the department that did that? Production?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. And I told them they should do a little model of that and patent it.
Yeah.
The
pumping? The
yeah.
pumping station?
Yeah, the whole pump station, and the little guy sitting there at the control desk moving. I mean, Legos, we can get Legos run for their money. And I also attended the Ritz as well, and that was a wonderful event, seeing the children that could, with all the talent that was out there, from musicians to singers to dancers. It was a wonderful event. I think that's all I have.
Great. On my report, I attended the Cucamonga Valley Front Country Tour with Director Moore, and also attended with my family to Earth Day. The Cucamonga Valley, I learned what Etowanda meant. I didn't know that before. It was actually the name of an Indian who was a leader. So that's something local stuff. And that's all I have to report. And next, General Manager.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just going to have a update on staffing and recruitments tonight, starting out with Chief Financial Officer. So great news on that. We've got a deal and a new CFO joining us. Just to recap the process a little bit, we did go through 2 different recruitments. We probably had 10 different people interviewed, some of them twice. We made a great selection. We've got the contract issue settled, so that that person is now in the pre-employment process, and we expect him to start on May 12th.
Congratulations.
Looking forward to that. And moving on, customer service lead. Our new lead is Maria Muro. She started on Monday, and comes to us with a lot of great experience, over 10 years. I think most of that out of Loma Linda. So great to have that on board in customer service. And welcome to Maria. Water conservation specialist. After a second round of interviews with 3 candidates, we did make a final selection, and it's looking really good with a projected start date of May 27th. And then for Public Outreach and Government Affairs, Rep 1, we interviewed 15 on Tuesday, and we're now setting up second interviews. Customer Service Representative 1, we have 14 interviews scheduled for May 5th. Water Distribution Operator 3, we're interviewing on May 5th. And we've had this opening for a while, the Associate Engineer with PE. That was Sean. If you remember Sean and Rocky and Linda, we're looking to reclassify this into more of a project manager type of position to better align our staff capabilities with district and customer needs. So we're ready to bring that back to HR committee with more details and heading to the board, we expect not too long after that. And then finally, I just thought I would mention as we're going into the budget season, I've been getting and hearing a lot of requests from different departments about the need to add staff. So what's our process for evaluating that? We currently don't really have a strong process, I would say, to evaluate and prioritize these requests. So we're building one, working with Linda and John initially, and now our whole leadership team. We have a draft we're looking at. It outlines a process to request additional staff or other staffing resources using a business case evaluation method, essentially a cost benefit analysis. So it's fitting on a page and a half right now. So it actually is a bit onerous, and I think it should be. Adding a staff member comes with a lot of responsibility. It's expensive. I mean, it's over $1 million over a 10-year period. So we're planning to implement this pretty quickly. And once implemented, this will help us cost effectively assess, prioritize, and perhaps recommend additional staffing resources. And that could include a recommendation for additional district staff that we would, of course, bring through committee, bring to the board for consideration, and ultimately making that decision. So just wanted to give you a heads up on a new rigorous process in regards to staff requests.
Great.
And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Legal.
And I have no report tonight, Mr. Vice
All right.
President.
Public outreach. Coral?
Good evening, board director. So this evening we'll do like a two-part here. So I'll have Isabel come up on the first one.
Good evening, Vice President Jenkins and members of the board. Time for the fun stuff. So on April 19th, we hosted a Cub Scout tour here at the district. We gave a short presentation, just overview of what we do, the importance of water, how they can save water. We then took them to our FDR treatment plant. And then we ended with a super fun activity. They're edible aquifers. So it teaches them what an aquifer is, the importance of groundwater, what groundwater means to our district. We pumped them up with a bunch of sugar and then they were able to go. So it was perfect. And then, next slide, please. And then a lot of recaps on our spring events. We've been very, very busy, and we would not be able to do it without staff that continuously helps us and shows up to events since we can't be everywhere all at once. And they do a great job in the community as well. So we're super thankful for that. Just a recap of the events we participated in. We participated in both Rialto and Bloomington's Earth Day cleanup event. We participated in the Fontana Special Needs Resource Fair. We participated in Slover Mountain High and Fitzgerald's College and Career Fair. And lastly, we attended Rialto, Fontana, and Colton's Spring Extravaganza, all on the same day, by the way. So yeah, couldn't be more happy to be out there in the community, making these connections and getting to know our community. And Socorro will do the other two.
Next one. As mentioned by Vice President Jenkins and Director Moore, we did have a tour with Cucamonga Valley Water District. It was a great time and a good time to connect with other water agencies. Have some photos there from the tour that Vice President Jenkins actually took. Next one. And as you know, we are currently, every Tuesday we have a new video series, Water Service Community, and we've been getting a lot of great reception out in the community from these videos. The second video we showed was from incorporate this Bloomington Little League, and they were just very thankful to be part of that video series. Heather Dyer from San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District gave us a shout out on LinkedIn for the video, the short clip videos we've had on social media. Social media. So we'll have about 3 more videos coming out in the next few weeks. So please feel free to share them out there to the community. Next one.
Hello again. Just going over some upcoming community events that our team will be at. On Saturday, May 3rd, we have the SoCal Steam Challenge, also known as the Inland Solar Challenge, that takes place in Yucaipa. Regional high schools get together, they build a boat, and they get to race it. So it's an amazing event, and there's a lot of other agencies there that we get to interact with. So it's really good. And then Saturday, May 17th, we have our Working Dogs for Warriors second annual event. We attended the event last year, which took place in Fontana, and it was an amazing event. Congresswoman Norma Torres actually was there, so this event gets a lot of traction, so we're very happy to be there. And then Friday, May 30th, Rialto Movies in the Park. That's their first kickoff one, so we'll see how it goes. Last year was a huge success. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, back to that one. Just to throw in, unfortunately, we will not be at the Fontana's Day Parade on this Saturday, as we will be at the Solar Challenge event, and we will also be hosting the Mother's Day Workshop, which is the second bullet point on this slide. We are doing that in coordination with Bloomington Parks and Rec. We have over 30 attendees signed up so far, so it's going to be an all-hands-on-deck community event we're very excited about. And then tomorrow we get to host a tour with a representative from Senator Schiff's office. Super excited about that, and we get to expand our legislative efforts while doing that as well. And then Tuesday, May 6th, we are filming fire hydrants with Supervisor Armendariz. On Friday, May 16th, we are touring the new Assembly member, Robert Garcia. So we're very excited about that. We get to introduce our district to him. And then lastly, on May 22nd, we will be hosting Chris Palmer from the California Special Districts Association. He's been amazing to work with, so we're so excited to show him the greatness that happens here. With that, any questions?
Any questions? Looks great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I do have one last slide here. And I just want to personally thank Mayor Joe Hartley and Isabel Medina for their hard work when it came to this Earth Day event, contacting the schools. This year we did work with Colton Unified. We had Grimes Elementary School, Crestmore Elementary, and Sycamore Elementary School. So we want to do a little quick video on Earth Day. And I also want to thank Colton Unified School Board member Israel Fuentes and their superintendent for sitting down with us and talking about this Earth Day event and making it happen. So looking forward to next year, and again bringing Rialto Unified as well onto this Earth Day.
It was a great event. Thank you, Socorro. Okay, and finally we'll go to the board secretary.
Thank you so much, Vice President Jenkins. Just a very quick look at a busy May and June. Invites were sent out for the events happening on Saturday, as well as the STEAM Challenge. Just as a reminder, that STEAM Challenge event is going to be on Sunday at noon, but you're free to show up at any time to see the competition in full force. I do want to mention that the policy committee was canceled on the 8th. We will have probably a pretty robust schedule of policies to present next month. We are looking at trying to solidify meetings with the historian with each of the board members still on the calendar for Director Moore and Director Bennett. We've got Aqua Spring Conference. We have President Young, Vice President Jenkins, and Director Bennett who are going to be attending. Again, per the direction given tonight, I'll be coordinating with Director Moore and Director Bennett to attend the CSDA Legislative Days. We will be closed on Memorial Day, moving External Affairs then to the previous Monday at noon. And rounding out the month with the rate study workshop at 8:30, that should say to 11:30. So we're setting it at 3 hours, hopefully completed before then. So you'll receive that in your invites. The following month in June, we are looking to, at some point, check availability for possible budget meeting, budget workshop, either on the 7th or 14th. If anybody cannot attend those dates, so you let me know, so that we can get that solidified and have that, in the books. The last conversation we had about this was probably preferred to have it on a Saturday, so that it's not a long day and you guys aren't coming in at 6 o'clock and being, loaded down with a lot of budget information. So I'll be meeting with you individually to check your availability on that. And again, we've got the Juneteenth that is scheduled, where we have a scheduled board meeting date. So I wanted to gauge what the interest level would be to either move that board meeting or cancel it and combine all the agenda items to that first meeting in June or the first meeting in July. Any preference?
I saw the first meeting in July is July 3rd. Could be another. So maybe you want to meet on the 26th and skip the July 3rd one.
Yeah.
Just as an idea, option.
We have a busy,
I like that
busy
idea
engineering
better.
and ops on June.
The board takes priority.
So there is an option then to either move engineering and ops so that you can have that regular board meeting. We can adjourn it to the 26th if you all are available.
I'm available.
Yep. Does that sound doable? Then we'll move to do that. I'm seeing some nodded heads.
Is that
Yes,
good? All right,
wonderful.
good.
Okay, so we will go ahead and take care of that. Thank you. That concludes my report. I do want to mention that I will be sending you invites. I plan on taking a few days off in May. And of course, my coverage is always Paula, who's very capable. I'll put that on your calendars as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Any other questions or any other comments? If not,
I'd like to attend the event coming up on May the 16th, which is called the Mayor's Masquerade Ball.
Mhm.
It's sponsored by Young Visionaries. They're an agency here in, I think they're based in San Bernardino, but they service the community as a whole, all in an empire. And they specialize in youth. I've worked with them in the past in different programs. They do a backpack program here at the community center giveaway. They do mentorship at juvenile hall and a host of events. And I'd like the opportunity to represent West Valley at the function coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
microphone?
one quick question on. Just one quick question. So, we want to make sure that it's somehow tied to something that the district is doing, in terms of like if it were youth and it were a poster contest, for example. But we would just want to be careful that we didn't do something that didn't have any connection to the water district. So unless the water district was a sponsor or passing out water or something like, from what you described, Director, that sounds like a very important event for youth, juvenile things, but not for a water-related thing.
Yes, well, I'm scheduling a presentation on the water industry. I spoke to the executive director.
At this event?
Not at this particular event, but
Okay.
in the future. If that's needed to qualify,
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a problem. In me giving a presentation, or what would you
Well,
recommend?
I guess my concern is that it would have to be something that the district is involved in. So giving a presentation to the group, absolutely. Attending the gala that doesn't have that connection to something at the district, that's my concern. So if this
Well,
is,
if I may, because he hasn't yet done his presentation to make that connection and building that relationship, it might be something that the gala might be the following year after.
Yes.
After you do your
Yes.
presentation, after we've established a nexus, some type of connection to.
Okay.
Yeah, so only that if you were to attend this event and someone said you were here on behalf of the district and you were receiving your, per diem for attending, they would say, well, why is the water district director here? Is he giving a presentation at this event? Is there an exhibit booth at this event? That's my concern, that someone would say, if you wanted to go, great, but if you're going and getting compensated as a director, I guess that's my concern, is that particular event isn't really tied to water enough where someone could question if the district should be paying for that. That's my concern.
So, what would you recommend on how to address it?
That for this particular gala, it not be something for which you would receive per diem. You would then give your presentation at a subsequent event, which would be fully part of our policy. And then if at the next gala you're part of the program, or you're somehow more connected to it in terms of something that is related to water, that would be perfectly fine. I'm just concerned about this event not having anything to do with water or youth and water or anything of that nature, that would be considered something outside of our policy. That's my concern. And then if that were to be questioned, I wouldn't want to put you in in any sort of circumstance where you're having to say, well, why were you there and why was the district paying for it? That's all.
Okay. Can I address this again with you or with the secretary?
Yes, so basically, once the relationship is established after you give the presentation,
Yes.
that creates the water nexus.
Okay.
Then after that, if you attend, that relationship is established. It's an ongoing relationship that we have now with this organization. Then you can go ahead and attend, give a talk at the next gala. It's like what Vice President Jenkins recommended. That's a good recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's just that if there's no connection to West Valley Water District and water, even if it were a youth event, which we had tonight, dealing with water issues, that would be fine. I'm just concerned that the way that you described it didn't have any connection to the water district or water, or youth and water, or an exhibit booth from West Valley. So without any of that connection, I'm just concerned that would be something the district shouldn't be paying the per diem for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if there was a exhibit booth available for us to stage there, would that be a qualifier?
Yeah, I mean, you do have events scheduled for outreach. And so if this were a pre-scheduled event for outreach, that would be one thing. I'm just concerned that if, in order to make it a water event, if we were now just to add an exhibit booth to it, I'm not sure that would be even feasible, but that's the concern. There has to be some connection to water, the water district.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Jeff. In closing, I'd like to say happy birthday to my baby sister today. And end the meeting.